Hello, welcome to Chef Richard's Kitchen. I'm Chef Richard Miller. Today we're going to make a different kind of a queso. And in a previous episode, I went ahead and made a queso Blanco. And that's what we're going to be using with this. If you don't want to take the time and make, queso Blanco from scratch, there are a lot of these, commercial quesos out there that'll work just fine. So anyway, what this is going to be is it's going to be a black bean with shredded chicken in there, and what I'm going to do instead of shredding the chicken is just chop it up fine. And we're going to put black beans in there and float some hot sauce on top of it. And I kind of got the idea from Condados, and they have a dirty queso down there that I absolutely love. And I couldn't get, they're the most tight-lipped people ever when it comes to how do they do something. But, after a little trial and error, I came up with something that I really like. But that doesn't mean I won't be stopping down there very often for theirs either. So let's go ahead and let's go ahead and turn our skillet on. I'm going to put a little olive oil in here, and I'm going to let this go ahead and warm up a little bit, and then we're going to take and brown some chicken in there. Now, how much you brown that kind of depends on how much of the brown flavor you want in your queso. I actually kind of like it in there, but to each their own. If you don't like the brown taste, then just go ahead and actually put the lid on it, and you might even go ahead and steam it, and that'd take care of that. But I do like the brown taste, so that's how I'm going to do mine. So let me give this another minute to go ahead and warm up nicely. And I'm just going to put a little bit more oil in here. Now I'm just going to take some chicken tenders and just put them in. Can you use thigh meat? Yep. Can you use breast meat? Yep. I just happen to have these, so this is what I'm using. Okay, now that we have our tenders, or at least part of them, in here, what I'm going to do is I'm just going to go ahead and I'm going to let them cook for about 2 or 3 minutes. And if I tried to pull these off now, they're just going to rip. If I wait a couple of minutes until they brown, they kind of self-release, and it makes it a whole lot easier with them. They're getting there. I'm going to give them another minute. All right, they've been in long enough that they're releasing very, very easily. Turn them over, and I'm going to give them another couple minutes to cook. Remember, we want these cooked through. We don't want them real dry. We don't want them cooked well. But we don't want any pink in them either, because when we put them in the queso is probably not going to get hot enough, after that to cook it anymore. So make sure that it's cooked when it goes in there. All right, most of these are done. I've got a couple of last holdouts. Then I'm going to put the lid on, and I'm just kind of let them steam a little bit. It's not gonna hinder the browning process because they're already browned, but it probably will help keep the heat in there. Speed up the cooking time a little bit. Okay, here's this batch. Now I want to pour just a little bit more oil in there, and I've got some last few ones I want to cook. Okay, the last ones are done, and as you can see, while the other ones were cooking, I was going ahead and chopping. So let me go ahead and put these last pieces in here. I'm going to let this cool down for just a little bit. We'll chop them, and then we're going to bring our queso up, and we're going to go ahead and heat it, and we're going to put the final ingredients in there. Then we're going to plate and taste. So give me a minute, I'll be right back. Okay, here I've brought out my queso, and this is what I made up earlier, and I don't think my sound worked out too well, or I'll put this up, but eventually I'm going to do it again so it'll be there. If you want to make this, like I say, you could just go ahead and there's so many different queso blancos out there, commercial, that are actually excellent. You can go ahead and use them. So, all right, let me go ahead and chop my chicken here. In this case, I'm just, before I put them on the plate, before I had the queso heated, now I'm just going to go ahead and put it in there. That's the leftover chicken juice. Might as well use that. That's flavor. There. Now we've got our chicken in here. Let's go ahead and stir it. Okay, now we're just going to take some black beans, and before, this is just 15-ounce can of beans, and before I put these in, what I did was I took and I ran some water down through there and kind of rinsed them just a little bit. So I'm going to start out, put about 2/3 in there. It looks like it's probably pretty good. So I'm going to go ahead and let's taste it now. Delicious. Delicious. Now normally I put just a little red pepper flakes or some cayenne in there. But with this, what we're going to do is when we plate it, we're going to go ahead and we're going to drizzle some hot sauce on the top of it. And the hot sauce I'm using for this is actually it's made with ghost peppers. Now ghost peppers aren't the hottest ones around. Those are Pepper X. Down below that is the Carolina Reaper, and then ghost peppers below that. But it's still pretty high up there. I mean, we're talking probably about 1 million Scoville units, where cayenne peppers are between 25,000 and 50,000. So we're talking a whole lot of heat, which is the reason I'm not going to put any cayenne pepper in here. So let me give it a minute, and then we'll go ahead. I'll get ready. We'll plate, and I'll show you a really nice appetizer that you can take, or if you're going to have guests over, use this before dinner. It makes an excellent, way, because you know how people come in, they want to come in the kitchen, they want to, help and whatever. I mean, I love the thought. Thing of it is, give them this, and it'll make your life a whole lot easier. So I didn't say that, by the way. I'll be right back. All right, here we go. Here we are. I'm going to turn my induction off. This has just been at a nice high simmer, so it's not boiling, but it's kept it nice and warm. As you can see, what I've done is I'm putting under the detail camera now. What I've done, I've taken a combination chip platter and a dip bowl, and I've gone ahead and I've gone and put some of these little mini rounds in there. And personally, when I take dips or salsa or queso or something like that, I always like those. And why? Well, the reason is because when you get this into a party atmosphere where you're having guests and whatever, the last thing in the world you want is to have these great big triangles where people are going to be taking and breaking them off, leave half of them down there or half of the chip down there. So the next guy doesn't know what that is, so they leave it, and pretty soon you got a whole bunch of them down there. These are nice individual sized. They work out real well, and they're good for it. If you want to use those scoops that you can buy, that's great too. When you do use those though, just make sure that you make a little bit more of your dip, because remember, what can fit on a chip like this and what fits in one of those scoops is a whole lot different. So make sure if you're using the scoops, you make sure you have enough of your dip. All right, now let's go ahead and let's plate. All right. I've gone ahead and I've put my queso in there. What I'm going to do is I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to put just a little bit of jalapeno on the top. Maybe just a couple of little diced Roma peppers here. That isn't going to add anything to the flavor. What it is going to do is it's also going to add to the color and the appeal. Now, the last thing, the hot sauce. And remember what I always tell you. Who are you thinking about when you're making your dishes? Answer, your guests. And that's the only person you should be thinking about is your guest. So, before you take and use something like this that's going to burn all the way down through them, make sure that you know who you're dealing with. If you're dealing with a hot sauce aficionado group or something like that, yeah, go ahead and put on liberally. If you're not, if you're dealing with, just plain normal people, you don't want to burn them. So just go ahead and take and just put a little bit down on there. And that's it. So here we have it. We have a shredded chicken and black bean queso. And I'm going to also put it under the detail camera here so you can also see it there. There. Now, what's the last thing we do? That's right, chef's privilege. Yeehaw! I got a little bit of that hot sauce in there, and it is hot. But remember, since you just put some drops in there, it's going to add a little flavor. It's going to add some heat. There's going to be a few people who are going to get a little hot tongue, but it's not going to cause massive injury, third-degree internal burns, or anything like that. So go ahead and use it. Here's another very easy and convenient appetizer you can make. Please give it a try. I'd love to hear how it works. Send me an email at chefrdmiller@att.net or leave me a comment. In fact, give me a thumbs up. Even better than that is make sure you subscribe, because after all, you don't want to miss any episodes of your favorite chef, do you? I didn't think so. So, anyway, until next time, take care, God bless. Thank you again for letting me into your home. Remember that cooking should always be fun. And I'll see you next episode. Bye for now.